Jamalyn.
Hi, Kim.
I am so excited today.
We have a really good episode today, for
a great
sure.
episode.
Yes.
And because we've invited
Da-da-da-da!
Marlene Gentry, our sage, to
And-
join us today.
And I'm excited to be here with these two young ladies.
And I'm excited you said young. So, Marlene, this is called One Thing More, where we continue
Okay.
the conversation from Sunday's sermon. And
Okay.
since your husband was invited up to talk about what surrender meant for him in his ministry, being a spouse of a pastor, I know that there's a lot more to the story than just the one, standing up front giving the sermon. Now, Dave said Sunday, because Jim talked a lot about how he had to have a conversation with you prior to accepting his call to ministry. And Dave said, well, it was a little different for me because I met Jamalyn in seminary.
Right.
But I would say about 5 years ago, Dave and I had to have that conversation again because I was really feeling called away from the local church, still in ministry. And so we had to kind of figure out what that would look like for our family because, our lives had gotten so crazy that we were depending heavily on grandparents to parent our children. And when I had thought about our life together, that's not how I had imagined it. So we kind of had that conversation later, but we wanted to invite you here to tell us your side of the story, or as Paul Harvey used to say, and now the rest of the story.
The rest of the story, the rest of the story began when we were dating and in MYF. And the minister and spouse we had at that time was delightful. So I really knew what they were going through. And it was not easy because they had children at the time. But I knew Jim had this calling. So I wanted to be part of that. Although I didn't have a lot of the things that other ministers' spouses, and they were mostly women at that time. So we got married on a Sunday afternoon, went to conference, spent our honeymoon at conference.
When did you go to conference, though?
We went Sunday afternoon. It started Tuesday morning.
So you got married
At
on
that
a
time.
Sunday, and you were at conference on Tuesday?
But we went in. Oh, there's a side story to that, too. We checked in at this motel on Sunday afternoon. And Thursday, Jim was getting ready to leave for conference. And the clerk said, "Is there someone else in that room with you?" And Jim said, "Yes, my wife." Now, this is Bloomington, so you know the story. So after that, our statement says, Jim Gentry and girl.
Oh!
And I still have the copy. I will keep it.
Oh,
I've showed
my.
the kids, yes, and
Scandalous
girls.
from the beginning.
So we spent that week at conference
Where did you stay Sunday night and Monday night?
in this hotel.
So you went from your wedding straight to Bloomington because that's
Yes,
where the
straight
South
to
Indiana
Bloomington.
annual conference. And for our listener, the United Methodist Church has an annual conference every year, and that's where all the clergy come to make decisions
Right.
about the conference. And back then, a lot of times that's when you found out where you would be serving.
Oh, yes, and we were told we would be going one place. And when they announced it on Sunday, that's not where we went. It was totally different, and that happened quite
Oh,
often.
talk about
Because
itineracy,
the,
right?
the,
Right.
the district superintendents would be doing deals in the back hallways.
That's when we got our three-pointed church assignment, and then we were there for 2 years, and then we went to around Salem, and we had the 4.
Oh my God! When Jim
So-
said 3, I was like, "Oh my
And did he
gosh!" And then
preach
you
it?
got 4.
Did he
Yes.
preach at every church?
Every
How did
church.
that work?
For the 3, we did 2 of the mornings and 1 in the evening.
Oh.
For the 4, we did 2 in the mornings, and then every other Sunday night, we went to 1. They were just every other Sunday. They
Okay.
just had service.
Yeah.
So
That's a lot.
I've
It
never
was.
heard of
On
that.
Sunday.
Did you guys ride to each parish on
I-
a horse?
Fortunately, we had a car by then.
You can throw something at her
I mean,
if
that
you want
sounds
to.
like the beginning of, they would ride their horses from parish of like all 6 or 7 of them.
Now, fortunately, they were close together. I went to every service
Of course you did.
and took the babies.
Oh my gosh.
And one Sunday night, I remember getting to church and looked down and I thought, oh, I have my house slippers on.
How many kids would you be taking to 4 services?
2.
Oh my gosh.
And they were 13 months apart.
Oh my goodness.
So they were babies.
Yeah, they were
Was
babies
there a
at the
nursery
No,
or did
oh,
they
no,
sit
no,
in the
no.
pew?
No.
Did you ever just want to stay home?
No.
Oh my gosh.
I felt the calling, not as much as Jim, but I really did feel the calling to be a part of that.
Okay.
And I think it was due to raising up in the church and feeling that. And our MYF leaders at that time, we had 3 couples that came every Saturday night.
Okay.
And now I think back of those young couples that gave up that time for us young people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Talk
sacrifice.
about, yeah.
Yeah,
and
talk about
surrender.
it.
You're
Surrendered.
a lot, right?
They surrendered a lot for our sake.
Someone the other day asked me if I wanted to start playing pickleball here at church on Friday nights, and I was like, I don't know about the Friday night. That's just pickleball, not like forming young minds and hearts.
Right. But I always,
So you felt, so those leaders sort of planted in you your
Exactly.
calling to
Exactly.
be present as the pastor's spouse
right,
and active in all of the congregations.
very,
Yeah.
yes.
Did they make it
Lead-
feel like accessible, like it was something you could do? Because I think sometimes it's a scary idea to be like a couple in ministry, if you don't know what it's going to look like.
It got more scary for me as years went on because most ministers' spouses played the piano
Right.
Yes.
or sung.
Yes.
I did neither one of those.
Okay.
Our first anniversary, I had agreed to be Vacation Bible School leader.
Okay.
And that was during the time I should have been packing and getting ready to move.
To move. Yeah.
So Mother kept the children, and we went down on a Saturday night for dinner at Mother's, and my sister said, Marlene, I'm so sorry I didn't get your anniversary card off.
You didn't know?
Jim and I had both forgot our
Your
first
first
anniversary.
How many kids did you have at your first anniversary? Just the
One.
one? Yeah.
The one.
Otherwise, this podcast
No.
was going to change theme.
No, just the one at that time. But later, we did have the other one while we were still in southern Indiana.
So how many years into your marriage until you had one church?
Oh, that was when we went to Topeka. That would have been, Denise was born in 62. Yep, 62.
You've been doing this a long time.
64 years.
And I bet you have
in
like
June,
surrendered
in
a
June,
lot.
it will be 64 years.
That's amazing. Thank you for that.
Yes.
And thank you for being with us and for being like, you're an amazing role model.
And,
Oh my gosh.
I know people don't like
You're
that
still like
anymore.
nice
You're
about
still-
the church. So I think
There-
some people get like been out of shape, but you still act
Oh.
like you're really in love with
Oh,
the church.
I am. And with all those people that we were able to meet through now it was hard on our children,
Yeah.
moving from school to school.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the hardest part. But they look back and tell us now, but think of all those people we got to meet
Yeah.
and get to be a part of their lives.
Yeah.
Fortunately, they don't say, oh, Mom and Dad, you drug us all over Indiana. We did get to stay in Indiana.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
We were in northern Indiana for his seminary. He would leave on Sunday night or Monday morning early, come back Friday night. So I had the children all week by myself.
Oh, he was serving churches while in seminary.
Oh, yes.
You're continuing to just blow our mind. Can
Listener,
see
if
it?
you could see my face, you would see that I'm in shock and my brain has just
Our
exploded.
minds have been blown.
So when he
And
had
college.
3 or 4 Wait a minute, he was a student pastor in college?
Yes, yes.
That's so hard with
We-
kids.
We lived in Asbury through the week,
Uh-huh.
and we would go home on the weekend
And do church.
and to church. Yes.
To
And
the
do
3-point charge or the 4?
The 4.
Oh my goodness.
So you're newlyweds?
2 services
He's
on
in
Sunday
college.
morning,
And
one
every other Sunday night.
and then you got to pack up and leave Sunday night or Monday.
Exactly. And go down to, we had a trailer that we rented.
Oh my goodness.
And,
And,
what
uh,
did you do during the week while he was taking classes?
Took care of Mark.
Oh, because
Well,
you had kids
yes,
already.
Yes.
Yes. Come on, keep up, Jamalyn.
We've got to get you
All
on
the
board.
pieces are
Jamalyn.
forming together now.
We've already lost Jamalyn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, put your mind back in your
Yeah.
head here.
And
Okay.
when we had the 4 churches, the parsonage had a coal stove in the kitchenette. So we would go up, build a fire, get the parsonage started, and then we would go to my mom's and let the house warm up, and then go back to the parsonage.
And I was
Yeah.
thinking about that, like, which church's parsonage? How did you choose? Or did they all not have a parsonage? Because you have 4
It was-
churches.
It was an appointment for the 4
Oh, okay,
churches.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So everybody,
Oh, everybody
Supposedly.
supported that.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, for our listeners who don't know, a lot of times United Methodist pastors who are itinerant also live in a house on the church parking lot, basically, so everybody has access to them
Right.
all the time.
Exactly.
So this is the
Next
thing that
door.
Marlene has dealt with for,
Yes.
And a lot of times the churches think, I mean, the parsonage is the church's property.
Exactly.
And so we lived in one parsonage, and it was lovely. Like, we had a wonderful experience. I know some people have had less than wonderful. I would have spent my whole life in that house. I loved it. But some people, it's really hard because they'll let things fall apart at parsonages. And you'll, like, the head of the trustees, their house will be pristine, but, like, the trimming on your house is falling off, and it's the church's job to keep that up. So I had someone once tell me, anytime you want something fixed at the parsonage, that's when you have the trustees over for dinner, and you don't ask for anything, you just wait for the thing that's
Just
going to
let the
fall
thing
apart to
fall apart.
fall apart.
yeah, yeah.
It's a table falls apart. Also,
Oh, were yours furnished?
no.
Okay, yeah, that's at least
None
good.
of them.
Some conferences, listener, also furnish the parsonage.
In the South,
In the
They
South,
Exactly the way you want
only
it.
thing you bring is your bed.
right. I remember one parsonage that was not too far from where we lived. This couple furnished a couple of bedrooms with a stipulation that no children sleep in that bed.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, oh my goodness. So we never had that.
Yeah, that's good.
The
Yeah.
first assignment, we lived in a apartment that we paid for ourselves
Okay,
and drove to the churches on Sunday morning.
okay.
And usually someone would invite you for dinner
Oh, uh-huh.
or lunch, whichever it was called then, because you had a service that evening. So rather than drive back to New Albany,
Yeah.
then you could spend the afternoon
It was really, I mean,
calling on.
you really had to immerse yourself in the congregation. At that
That's
point.
right.
There wasn't
Too.
even, yeah, you
That's
just had
right.
to become a part of it, right?
That's right.
Yeah, because, I mean, you live right there, and I want you to come for dinner or supper or whatever we're calling it, and I want to get to know you, like, really get to know you, Marlene.
Exactly. No naps on Sunday afternoon
I can't even imagine.
because you
Because
were-
I know one pastor, he takes a good little nap in the
So-
afternoons.
but it has all been very, very good. And I have been a member here since 2005.
Okay.
Oh,
So
was
17
that
years.
when you retired?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And for another little tidbit about Methodism that people probably don't know is Marlene changed it to I've been a member here
Oh,
because
right.
clergy don't actually
They-
get to join churches because
No.
we belong to the conference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. 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 Awesome. Well,
That's-
I'm glad you're here.
that's when I got
ended
to-
up here too.
Choose.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, he said when it was all said and done, you got to choose the area, and so you chose the Indianapolis area.
Well, we lived here
Oh, okay.
because he was DS.
Oh, he was district superintendent for like
Right.
the Indianapolis area.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, he started with that too. I love that. Did you notice that? That's the first thing he said almost is that, let me just tell you, I'm here at Zionsville because I had
right.
to surrender to Marlene after
Right.
her sacrificing and helping and being right beside me all those years. She decided that this is where we would be. Yeah. Good. I love that he started with that.
I did attend the garden while he was DS. If I didn't go with him on Sunday mornings when
okay.
he was traveling,
Yeah.
I attended
Okay.
the garden.
Yeah.
But when I came here, it just felt like home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that it's interesting, this idea of surrendering. We surrender to a call, but in our marriages, we surrender to the other person a lot too, right?
Exactly.
I mean, I think that's interesting that was the first thing that Jim said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which tells me there is a mutuality between the two of you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A partnership in it,
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's good.
and delightfully so.
Yeah. I mean, and how many years married? 60? How many?
I'll be 64 in June.
Okay, 64 in June. That's amazing. too.
Since she's been the girl in the room.
The girl.
Yes, the girl
yeah.
in the room.
The girl in the room. The girl has hung around.
And the price went up in the room.
Once the girl showed up,
Oh, really?
Yes.
did you say, well, we're married, the two shall become one, so that's really just one visitor, one guest?
But when we got the receipt,
Oh, gosh, that's funny. I
yes.
love that you kept
Up
it.
the bill.
oh yes, I still have it.
You know, that's funny because I kept a piece of paper with Jim Gentry's name on it too. I was going through, trying to purge and shred and get rid of stuff because I have a tendency to hold on to paper.
Oh.
And I came across my commissioning paperwork, and
Oh, because you were
Jim
commissioned.
Gentry signed off on it. I was like, look at that.
Oh,
Oh, that's
how
funny. He was the
exciting.
DS when you were going through
yeah,
that. Oh,
yeah.
funny.
So
How
I
neat.
still have that. Yeah, I'll bring it and show it to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
So you guys have had influence all over this conference for
Topeka,
60 years.
Indiana was the north.
I don't know
As
where
far
Topeka
north.
is.
You know where Shipshawana is?
Oh, that's really north. Oh, you
Just
guys
south
went
of
up
there.
there for a
Yes.
little bit.
LaGrange,
Okay.
because that's when he was in Garrett.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
You've been all over the state.
And when we went there for that interview, it was so funny. The DS said, now, Wayne Paulin, he was such a neat guy. He said, now, you don't have to worry, Marlene, because the sheriff of the town lives across the street, and the doctor lives candy-cornered from you.
Okay.
So you will be taken care of. Well, the sheriff was like Barney Fife. I think he was scared of his own shadow.
But was the
But-
doctor any good?
The doctor was great.
Okay, that's good.
Because our Mark got his head stuck between the rails
Oh,
on
the
the,
crib.
no, outside going down the steps.
Oh.
So I just had to call the doctor, and Dr. Lehman came over and
He just maneuvered his head out of it? Okay.
got his
Did you have to leave him there like this when you went
That's
to get the
to
doctor?
call.
That's something from like the Christmas story when the kid
Right.
gets his tongue on the bar or whatever. So you have a daughter and a son,
2 daughters.
2 daughters. Oh, and a son. You have 3 kids.
Yes,
that's
Mark's
right.
the oldest.
Okay.
And then the 2, and in fact, Denise was born up in Topeka. And Dr. Lehman, who had helped Mark,
Okay.
delivered. Yeah.
Interesting. So did they all graduate from different high schools?
The 2 older ones graduated from North Central here in Indianapolis.
Oh.
And then we moved Denise, and she graduated from Bloomington.
Okay.
What church were you at when they were at North Central?
You were a DS.
Church of the Savior.
Oh.
Oh, I don't know that church.
It's at 62nd and Rucker Road.
Oh, okay. I still don't know that church. but
That
I'll take
church
your word
was,
for it.
yeah, we really did serve there. There's where Adrian Carr and them, it was a new concept out of East somewhere, and you had to go through a 12-week commitment, and then you had to join a service group.
Oh, okay.
I went to Central State Hospital with a group. That was really a sacrifice and out of my comfort zone.
Okay.
Because
Tell
I've
the
always,
listeners what Central Hospital was.
Oh, yeah.
for mentally ill
Yeah.
people. And I've always been afraid of someone that really was mentally ill.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I chose that one to be part of. Our daughter chose the deaf school. The two older ones was in college at that time, but you had to commit to a group, service group. And we went to Central State every week. I was also in the nursing home group.
Okay.
On Tuesday, we went there. On Thursday, we went to Central State. And then on Friday, we had a group that we called the Aimless Wonders. We never knew where we were going to go,
Oh.
but we would all get together and we would just go out to lunch or to an antique place.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We had one of our gals that said, I can't be a part of that. I know that isn't what God would want us to do.
Oh, I
Have
so
fun?
disagree. Like God,
God
always
doesn't want us
wants
to have fun. I know God likes us to eat.
Yeah.
Because the Methodists do that well.
Exactly.
But it was a good learning experience.
And what did you do when you went to the hospital?
We had a gal that could play by ear, and we would sing, or we'd just sit and talk to the patients.
Oh, okay.
It was usually I don't want to say, certain room that they would have those
Yeah.
who wanted
Like
to
a
come.
community room.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we would
Yeah.
chat
Yep.
and sing. All you would have to do with Madge was say, or just hum a couple of, and boy, she would take off,
And play. Yeah.
and that
Nice.
was their favorite thing.
Yeah, I bet they look forward to having you guys come.
Right.
Some outside person that's not, handing them a pill or making
Yeah,
them sit in a
right.
circle and talk about certain things. I bet that ministry went way further than you guys would ever imagine. that it
Right.
did. Yeah. That's
It
near
was-
and dear to my heart.
It was a good group.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then you went to Bloomington, and was that when he started working on the conference staff?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I started working. I worked at Blocks when it was a Blocks.
Yes.
And then when Lazarus took over.
Yep, I
Yes.
remember that.
So I was a salesperson in the women's department
Yep.
and
Back
loved
when-
it.
Yeah,
Loved it.
department stores were department stores, right?
Yes.
I miss that.
Yes.
Now I understand your fashion sense a little bit better.
Loved it.
Yeah, I
That-
bet you did.
Yeah.
I bet
So
you
the-
liked
Yeah.
the discount too.
That was better.
And
Keep
our
that.
listeners can't see, but she has on a gorgeous necklace today too, like she always does.
But
Yeah.
it was good. And I'll never forget one of our managers there, Tony. We would come in, you had to go to the office first to get your bag of money before you went to
Oh,
your
uh-huh.
register, and you'd all gather, and we would say, okay, Kim, what do you want us to think about today or pray?
Oh,
really?
really? Nice.
Yes.
Look at Lazarus
Can
getting
you-
after it.
Can you believe that? And we would all share something that was on our hearts.
Oh, yeah.
And Tony, a new manager, found out, she said, you know what I found out when I came to Bloomington? It was better to take care of the employees first and then get down to business.
Oh, yeah, man.
More managers need to hear that.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it
she-
went a long way too, I'm sure.
You're still talking about it.
Yeah.
we would have done anything
Yes,
for her, any of us.
exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was
So
a great
what-
experience.
What kind of things, when you would go from church to church to church, was there an area of the church you were really consistent in serving where you felt called? I mean, sometimes it's Sunday school, sometimes it's choir. you're so good with hospitality here. I wonder if that's what you did, or UMW, or
The kitchen.
I could see that
To
you have
help.
such a gift of hospitality.
I felt more of a servant
Uh-huh.
that way,
Yeah, yeah,
and greeting people,
yeah, yeah. You're
or
still
even
great
at the
that.
end of the service, too.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's important. Like telling people to, thanks for being here. Have a great week, and then you're the last like friendly face that they see when they leave.
So,
Yeah.
yes, that's where I felt.
When I was serving at a church, because as an associate, I would do all of the little things around the sermon. I always said I thought by the end of the service, I talked more than the preacher, because
Yeah,
you do
right.
the opening, the welcome, the prayer, everything. And someone said to me once, "Oh, you always seem so comfortable when you're up doing that." And I said, "Well, I just always pretend like we're in my living room." And I'm like, and that can be good or bad for the people listening, because that means I'm really comfortable. But you always make me feel that way when I come into the narthex. I feel like I'm sort of coming into your home in a way. Like I can imagine that's how you welcome people into your home, and you just have such a warm, feeling about you that it makes it so nice for people who are coming here the first time.
Well, and the church is our home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a way
You
for
can tell. You can tell. I mean, you guys your commitment is, amazing.
Now, the thing of it is, within parsonages, I was more concerned about keeping house
Oh, I know.
than I should have been doing other things. But at that point, because I heard so many stories, the last couple left this, they didn't do this,
Right.
they didn't do that. So that was constantly in my mind.
Well, and I think if as a pastor's family, if you're thinking about it, what I think to be properly, you have to always remember it's an incredible blessing to be given this home.
That's right.
And yes, you're providing a service as well, but a home is a big deal to be given. And I remember we had our babies in our first parsonage, and at one point they were talking about changing the carpet because they wanted to do that for us, and I begged them not to because I was like, my babies are throwing everything on the floor. Please don't give us new carpet. Wait until we get moved, and then you can do it. Because I didn't want to constantly be in fear of them dropping something or making a mess or whatever.
Identify with that very easily, yes. In fact, one parsonage we left, Jim said, I think you should put new linoleum down in the kitchen, and gave him some things that he felt like they should
Yeah.
do. About 2 months later, I got this little dish that the guy had found under the stove.
Oh, yeah.
When they
moved.
the
Yeah.
But Bob and I had a good relationship, so I knew he was teasing.
Yeah.
But it was good.
So going back to surrender, when you heard the theme was surrender and that Jim was going to be talking about it, what did that word conjure up in your own heart?
That I surrendered to God for whatever he wanted me to do. If he wanted me to be a helpmate for Jim, that was where I was going to help.
Helpmate. You never heard that term?
No, but I love it.
Helpmate.
That is such a great word.
Help.
So if he wanted you to be a helpmate, you would do that.
That was my calling.
Yeah.
Or if he wanted you to go to Indiana Central Hospital, you would surrender to that.
Oh, well, that was out of my comfort
I know, but you
But
did it.
though.
Right.
And I do think the surrender part is really
Yes.
hard.
Yeah.
And it is, yes.
And what I thought was interesting is Jim talked about was his dad was not necessarily excited about him going into ministry. And I remember Dave's mom was very reluctant as well.
Oh, really?
Because she just knew it's a hard life.
She was married to a pastor.
Yeah, and I laughed when Jim was talking about that because a couple weeks ago Margaret sent Dave and I a text from school, and it was like, I just took a career assessment and clergy was high up on the list, and I was like, please Jesus, no. Because it is the most wonderful job in the whole world, and it is the most trying and difficult job in the whole world.
You're right.
And,
It is, yep.
you know, I can see for my child, like, how she probably would be a great pastor. She's so nurturing and loving and smart, and, you know, but at the same time, I know the sacrifices and struggles that you make. So Jim also said something, or it might have been Dave, where it was said, you know, part of surrender, like when you receive your call, is surrendering to that thing and letting go of the other things that you wanted to be.
might have wanted to.
You know, the engineer.
Yeah.
Or, you know,
yeah.
maybe you were really looking forward to being a helpmate to an engineer and the salary that came with that.
Fortunately, no, that never entered my mind. Fortunately, this minister, Lois and Glenn, were such a good example and such good servants to God that really appealed, that if I could be a servant like Lois, she was very dear.
Yeah, it sounds like she had a huge impact on you.
Yes, they
in
both
the sermon
did.
they said we have to surrender to God's direction, our call.
Yes,
right?
that's it, yeah.
And we have to surrender to outcomes, which you're saying, I'm just here to serve, and I will go where you are calling me to go, God.
Yes.
And be gracious and hospitable about it. Yeah, and then that we have to surrender our judgment about the thing.
That was the one
Yeah.
that made me sit
Yeah.
up a little bit.
Yeah.
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 Because it is hard if you are, in like our cases, we didn't do it straight up through college. You know,
Right.
like we both
I
had
can't
these
imagine being
business.
20.
I know. I mean,
and
I
doing
wasn't
About
much older.
19.
I can't imagine
Yeah.
that either.
I mean, I wasn't much older, but I was out of college.
yeah,
I was
worked a little
starting
bit.
a trajectory that I thought was going to be really fabulous, and it
Yeah.
was like someone just hit the brakes. It took me a long time after I even got ordained to sort of be
Okay.
comfortable with people calling me pastor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But I don't, there was probably a whole lot of other stuff that Kim and I will have to discuss in another session when she does therapy with me for that. But
Well, when you're young, though, I think it is harder. Like it's a second career for me. So I had this whole 20-year career, right? And I still was like, oh God, you got to be kidding. Like this can't be what you want me to do, right? But when you're young, so I had some leadership experience and I was older, so people, think of me as a pastor maybe. But when you're 25, like, they're like, what
I know.
do you know, girl?
and I was
I
always
look back at that and think, what must those church have thought of Jim?
well, I think the
at
same thing about Dave and me in our
20,
first
21.
appointment.
But think of
Yeah.
20 and 21.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
I
were
know.
29-ish, 29, 30, but we looked really young.
Yep.
And of course, we knew everything.
Oh, really?
I was really the smartest 30-year-old coming into my first appointment than probably the history of all people. And poor Charlie Wilfong was the senior pastor.
My.
And God bless him, he had to put up with me. Oh, and I was coming straight from Haiti. I can't even imagine that poor man. He was so kind. He and Donna were so kind to Dave and I.
And they still are.
They still are. And they really, it was funny because at the time they had middle school, high school,
Right.
college age-ish. And I remember looking at them and just seeing how they divided family life from church life. And Donna, of course, I always laugh, she had the largest following in the church. On Monday nights, she had a women's Bible study, and she packed out the sanctuary practically. It was so funny. But I would watch them, and the one thing they taught me that I thought I still to this day was Donna said, we never have called church when Charlie's working there. We always have said Dad has to go to work. Because they never wanted their kids to associate church as the thing that was pulling. I mean, they knew church was what was absorbing Dad's time. But they wanted them to understand that, the work and the church were kind of two separate things at times during the week. I always thought that was kind of interesting.
Where did you?
I was at Greensburg United Methodist.
Okay.
So he left there and became a DS.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I think
she would be a
they're
good
good
one for
friends.
us to have on too,
Oh,
Donna.
we should invite her.
Boy, the stories that woman has too. Let
Yes,
me tell
she-
you. And the voice that she has. She was
Yes.
the singing
Yes,
pastor's wife,
yes, she was.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Very
surrender to you was being a really devoted helpmate
Right.
And understanding
Yes.
that God's going to take you in a direction.
That's right. And he's going to lead.
Yeah,
It's pretty good.
it's really good.
So many great nuggets from this.
We just have to surrender.
Yep. And thank you so much for joining us today and
Oh,
sharing
well,
with
thank
us.
you for inviting
Oh,
me.
yeah, for
This has
sure.
been fun.
You're our first guest.
Oh, my goodness. Well, that's better yet. Then I don't have to say, oh, I don't want to follow
No,
them.
you've
No,
set
you
the standard pretty high.
Absolutely.
So,
Don't
yeah.
want-
Absolutely. You've set the bar.
So,
Well, hopefully we all can be really good helpmates this week. I think that's a great, no matter if you're in a relationship or just a friendship or
Exactly.
whatever it is. Sometimes,
or with your family.
or with your family, but surrendering to that task maybe that you really don't want to do. My mom, God love her, is in Terre Haute all week with my cousin.
That's right.
She's being a very good helpmate
Oh, okay.
for him, but we all do things because God
That's
calls
right.
us. And
Yep.
That's
I
for
think I'm
sure.
gonna work on surrendering my judgment. You know.
I think I'm probably going to need therapy on
I
that one.
think we'll probably all need to surrender the judging.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being on.
Well,
we
thank
love you. We're so
Thank
glad
you.
you're
Love
here.
each of you.
Yes. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Have a
All
great
right.
week,
All right.
everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Yes. Bye-bye.